Hello and welcome to episode 18 of Touchline Talk with Odds Changer. As usual, I'm joined by football broadcaster and writer Dean Jones to discuss all the latest news and gossip from the world of football. It's been another eventful week, Dean. Liverpool dominating the news again with their fall from grace, really. 6 straight home defeats, with that defeat to your boys Fulham at the weekend. Top 4 looking highly unlikely right now for last season's champions. They've really lost their spark, and just intensifies the speculation on Jurgen Klopp's position at Anfield. And obviously now the Germany job is becoming available this summer, with Joachim Low stepping down after this summer's Euros, and in his contract a year early, which has got the rumour mill going in full swing. Where do you see this one going? Obviously, Jurgen Klopp's ruled himself out, publicly saying he's not ready to leave Liverpool just now for Germany. But again, he's never hidden his admiration to one-time manager's country as well.
I think it's a really interesting situation that's opened up, really. And I think part of Liverpool will be a bit fearful about the situation they now find themselves in, because I think that the people above Klopp, the owners, have kind of built this situation, and it's been coming around for a while. Klopp could see it coming, and there were ways to prevent it from happening, I think, and they didn't do it. You know, I think that ultimately, if Klopp's annoyed right now, it's not just because of the results, it's because of the things that he was identifying that could happen, have happened, and things like not signing Timo Werner when he was available at a decent price. Like, that was the person that he thought could become, you know, a focal point of the side and help him transition and give him that new option for rotation up front. That didn't happen, and he went and joined a rival. I know he hasn't done brilliantly, but that's, I think, more to do with the system than anything else. I think Klopp would have been the perfect manager for him. There have been other frustrations. It took a long time to convince them to sign Thiago when that would look like a really good deal for them to do. There's obviously the centre-back situation. Klopp has been pretty good, really, in terms of not complaining about it, but there's no way that he's happy about the fact that Virgil van Dijk was injured for a couple of months. They had plenty of time to come up with options, and they end up giving him Ozan Kabak from Schalke, a bottom of the Bundesliga, and they give him a Preston centre-back that there wasn't really much competition to sign. And, you know, no disrespect to those players, but that's not what Jurgen Klopp needed in a time of, I guess, crisis is what it's led to. So you look at those three scenarios on their own, plus think they're little things that niggled away, like the whole furlough situation over the summer. He wasn't happy about that. Obviously, it turned around, but like, Jurgen Klopp has morals. He likes people to believe in what he's doing, and largely Liverpool have. But when they became Premier League champions, I think they should probably have given him a bit more than they did. And now, when a Germany job comes up, fair play to him for completely knocking it down, because I know that the German national team would love to have him, and I'm sure that the feelers will be put out there to him to see whether he fancies it. I do think, though, that Liverpool do need to assure him that he'll be able to get somebody through the door. Because even though he'll be confident that once Van Dijk's back, once Henderson's back, once his team's settled again next season, they'll have a chance, I think there's also a possibility that this team falls apart further over the summer. And, you know, if Wijnaldum leaves, but Mo Salah seems to be pushing for a move. It's not really a rosy place right now, and all those good vibes have gone.
Yeah, they've soon evaporated from last season. It seems a long time ago right now if you look at Liverpool's home form, especially at Anfield, which was a fortress for Klopp, unbeaten there for 4 years up until the turn of the year. But yeah, like you said, Dean, things, they were well placed around Christmas time, top of the table. Things have unravelled pretty quickly. And if they don't get Champions League, how hard is it going to be to try and attract top players to come and join Liverpool in the summer?
It'll be really hard, and it's not, you know, I think people would like the idea of joining Liverpool, but then you're going to have the financial implications of not making the Champions League, because ultimately Liverpool have been putting out the message all season and ahead of this season that they don't have the money that people might expect that they do, despite winning the Champions League the year before, then the Premier League, and being in the Champions League final the year before they actually won it. Like, it's been a really successful team. They should have plenty of money. Obviously, they did spend a lot of money in a short period of time to sign Alisson, Fabinho, Van Dijk. But surely Liverpool can do something here and can rise again, because the problem that they've got is that if they don't strengthen now, all the teams around them are going to, and those teams are going to become stronger again. And at a time when Liverpool had the opportunity to really dominate the Premier League for a few years, or at least attempt to, they've fallen away at the first attempt. Man City absolutely walking away with it again. They'll only strengthen again in the summer. And so you're kind of back to where you started 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, you'll be looking the backing of the club's owners, the Fenway Sports Group, who have come under fire from fans for maybe not giving Klopp the money to spend. Like, as you said, they probably shot bargain basement in January with Kabak and Ben Davies coming in ahead, and Jurgen Klopp will be looking at backing, because if he doesn't get it, it won't just be Germany who will be after his services, it'll be other clubs as well.
Yeah, absolutely that. I mean, luckily, there's no obvious jobs for him right now, but it doesn't take long for a situation to open up. So, I think Liverpool will be quietly confident that they can keep Klopp, just purely for the fact that he's a very loyal man and he always sees through his contracts before now anyway. So I think his contract's up in 2024, and I will be surprised if he stays that long, but let's see if he decides to stay for now.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely be looking to make a rebuild of that Liverpool team and mount another challenge, at least for Champions League and the Premier League as well. He won't want to bow out on such a low as it has been for the second half of this season as well. But moving on to the apparent heir to Jurgen Klopp's throne at Anfield, Steven Gerrard, obviously celebrating his first title success with Rangers after romping to the Scottish Premiership title this year. But it's not just in Scotland where he's done well, Gerrard. It's actually in Europe as well. They've now made the last 16 of the Europa League for 2 consecutive seasons. He's really making a name for himself, Steven Gerrard, in management. Probably the best young English manager around right now. Now, following the demise of Frank Lampard at Chelsea this season. Despite all the success at Rangers team, do you think he's ready for the Liverpool job right now, or maybe wait a couple of more years and get a bit more experience?
No, I'm sure Rangers are a bit on edge. I know they came out at the weekend and said there's no way that Gerrard will be leaving, but if Klopp did leave Liverpool, there's only one person they're going to turn to right now, and that's Steven Gerrard. So that's obviously in the back of their minds now. What Gerrard's achieved at Rangers is pretty phenomenal, to be honest. The turnaround's been crazy. The football that they're playing is really, really good. It's been really entertaining. As I say, not just in the SPL, but in the Europa League as well. They've got an opportunity there to progress even further. So it's a really, really interesting idea that Gerrard does come back to the Premier League, way sooner than I thought he would, because I thought it was a good step to go to Rangers, but I did think it would take him a few years to get his feet under the table, see what kind of boss he was, see how long it would take him to get success. But he's done such a good job, and obviously other clubs away from Liverpool will also be watching what Steven Gerrard's doing. I've seen a couple of links to Tottenham recently. If Mourinho was to go, I personally can't see Steven Gerrard rocking up as the Tottenham manager. But look, somebody will fancy taking a chance on him. There's no doubt about that. Like if another top Premier League clubs, like in the top 6, 7, need a new boss, I can see him turning to Gerrard. Maybe not Man United, but
No, definitely don't think that
others.
one. I'll take your bet on that one, Dean. That definitely won't happen, that one. But what about a Newcastle? Somebody like that for a Gerrard. Steve Bruce, we all know, is under loads of pressure. If he came down to Newcastle, be a good experience for him there to learn the Premier League as a manager, and then maybe Liverpool after that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a step down right now. I'm not sure. Like from Rangers to Newcastle is probably looking like a step down, but ultimately it's the Premier League, which is, the richest league in the world, and it is still the place to be. There's no doubt about that. And after what Gerrard's done at Rangers, I don't think it would scare him. The idea of going to Newcastle and turning that around now, I think he probably would look to stay a bit longer. I mean, you look at when Brendan Rodgers walked away from Celtic and the backlash that there was to that. I'm not saying that would definitely happen in the same way at Rangers, but I don't think they would be particularly impressed if he joined Newcastle after a year. But if you were Newcastle, I think 100%. Like Steve Bruce is definitely, his job is under pressure right now. I think that they're considering, even if they stay up, is this the right way to continue? And if I was them, I definitely would be looking at Gerrard and maybe just putting the feelers out to see if there was any chance he would be interested.
Yeah, he's going to be on the list of most clubs in England after success at Rangers. 3 years into the job, he's delivered what was asked of him. He's stopped Celtic winning 10 in a row. He's brought the title back to Ibrox. And I think he'll end up staying at least for another year. Champions League football for Rangers next season. Can he get them into the group stages? That would be another feather in his cap.
Yeah,
if he was to do
exactly.
that. Do you think that'd be a big thing for him to manage at the highest level?
Oh, it'd be massive, wouldn't it? And I think in terms of his progress as a coach, it would be a good idea if he did stay. So I think if that Liverpool job doesn't open up, which is the only one I think that he really couldn't turn down, because he'd want to help them as much as anything else, kind of just like how Lampard ended up back at Chelsea, really. I think he'd find that too difficult to turn down. But ultimately, I'm sure that he is putting a plan together for next season. Hopefully, he'll be able to strengthen a little bit more. As you say, Champions League football, if Rangers could, get in there and get through the group stages, that would be an unbelievable achievement as well. And if they could hold Celtic off again, a great achievement. And obviously, the thing with him as well is the fact that he's had to do this without supporters. And you saw their fans turning up at Ibrox. Gerrard was absolutely loving it, wasn't he? Rocking up in his car and then out the window cheering at the fans. Like, I know it's probably not the right thing to be doing now, but you can understand why there was that outpouring of emotion, because it's a long time they've waited for this.
Yeah, Nicola Sturgeon wasn't too happy, but yeah, I think you can understand the emotions of winning that title as well, with the fans
Yeah.
gathering around Ibrox to celebrate as well. But obviously the success of Gerrard at Rangers this season has led to the demise of Celtic and Neil Lennon, who obviously lost his job last month. Their hunt for a new manager continues, Dean. The latest name in the frame seems to be Enzo Maresca, the Manchester City under-23s manager. He's joint favourite with current interim manager Joan Kennedy. Do you know much about Maresca, or?
No, but I know there was somebody going into Celtic that was higher up, wasn't he? And he'd been working at City.
Yeah,
His
Fergal
name was,
Harkin, who's football
yes, that's the
director,
one.
operations, coming in. So it adds to that, maybe, that Maresca
So I
coming in.
just wonder, as something like that happens, I'm like, okay, well, there's a link there. Like that makes it a little bit more, because you always try and fit, as a journalist especially, you try and find the pieces of the jigsaw and be like, well, where's that come from? And you say, oh, okay, this guy's just coming from Man City. Maybe he's having some sort of say, or has said, look, you've got to take a look at this guy. So maybe that's a path they've gone down. Look, there's other names in the frame here. Michael O'Neill, who's at Stoke, who is frustrated by the fact that the club really have a bunch of reserve players that are hugely paid. If it's a club like Stoke to have all these guys on the fringes, people like and Tom Ince and these guys that they just really need to just move on from. They haven't done it. So Michael O'Neill's been kind of had one hand behind his back, I think, and he's been doing a decent job. So I think Celtic are interested there. And I think if they put an offer forward, he might be interested. And there's been a little bit of talk about David Moyes as well. And I think it's possible that he's been sounded out by a third party just to see what he's thinking right now. Obviously, his contract at West Ham running down, and I think he probably will sign a new contract at West Ham, but it wouldn't surprise me even if the leaks have come from that end of things, because he wants to make sure that he gets what he wants at West Ham. He's done such a good job. He should pretty much get to decide what happens from here. They should give him a couple more years and look to build on this, because it's not very often that West Ham have had this kind of stability and such a strong position to build on. I'd be amazed if they didn't sign David Moyes to a new contract, but I can definitely see why Celtic would be looking at that situation. Then there's people like Roy Keane that are being linked, which, look, it's available. So there's that. You haven't got to pay to get him out of a contract, or wait for him to get out of a contract.
I think Celtic fans will be happy with Roy after his remark when asked about Rangers winning the title. I think that won a lot of support with Rangers fans. Television.
There's a lot of emotion there. I'm not sure if Celtic should be managed completely on emotion right now. I think there needs to be a bit of depth there, and I'm not sure like Roy Keane would be as clear thinking as some other people might be. But look, as a journalist, I'm all for it.
It'd be entertaining, if nothing else, with Roy Keane if he was in the dugout at Parkhead next season as well. But obviously, for me, I think John Kennedy's probably in the box seat for this job. He's got it till the end of the season. If he can get a good set of results, he knows the club, he's been there. And I think probably crucial for him is the upcoming Old Firm game against Rangers. If he can get a win in that game and Rangers unbeaten, I think that'll enhance his chances of maybe getting this job on a permanent basis. But whoever does get the job, like we've said, Dean, big job ahead of them to try and turn around Celtic and get them back challenging Rangers off the top of the table. So big summer ahead for Celtic on and off the pitch, I think, to get the right decisions on this one. Another club who's facing another big summer is Barcelona. Obviously, Joan Laporta has been re-elected Barcelona president for the second time. The club's in all state of affairs, really, Dean, with financially wise and massive debts. Obviously, we've had Lionel Messi's future hanging over the club since last summer as well. He's out of contract and could leave on a free. And then again, what do Barcelona do in the transfer market this summer? There's not a lot of money to spend, so they're going to be sharpening, probably in the bargain basement right now, looking for free transfers. What's your take on Laporta returning to Barca, and what does it mean for the club?
Well, I think it's the best outcome that Barcelona fans could have had. I think he's kind of that connection to the past, and he brings an energy and an enthusiasm and a passion that the fans will relate to, and they'll know that he will leave no stone unturned in getting his club back to where they should be. Incredibly, look, Barcelona are still in the title race in Spain this season. They've got themselves back in there. Last 4 games, I don't think they've conceded a goal. So Koeman's done a pretty good job in that sense. Now Laporta's got to kind of figure out how he can get this club to make some signings that take the team on next season. Obviously, he's got to convince Messi as well. I mean, I do think that this means that Messi will now stay at Barcelona. I think, Messi voted himself. I'm pretty sure that Laporta was the man he would have voted for. And let's see what he can do. I think that free agents will be the way to go. I think that it's probably the only way to go. They don't want to be spending, as much as they'd love to be in the bidding for Mbappe or Haaland. I'll be amazed if they could do that in the next transfer window. But look, Sergio Aguero is potentially available on a free transfer. I know that that's something that they're looking into.
That could help keep Messi as well, Dean, if Aguero was to arrive.
Exactly. There's little things like that. And I think part of the problem was seen a couple of years ago that Messi had perhaps too much of a say, and there were too many people that were having a voice in how the club was run. But maybe that's exactly what they needed. Look, if Messi knows what it takes to be at the top for this long, then maybe you just got to start listening to him. Gini Wijnaldum, again, free transfer, potentially available. David Alaba, potentially, he's there as well as a free agent. That's the route I think that they'll probably go down. Obviously, these guys are still going to command big wages, but at least there's not that fee attached that Barcelona can't do. And they'll offload a couple of players. I know a lot of the guys that they'd like to offload, they're finding it difficult because of the deals that they're already on. There's a great core to that Barcelona squad. They got some really good young talent coming through. Pedri, obviously they signed Frankie de Jong. They got Trincao. They got Dest. There's a lot of players coming through, and I think that next era is coming. Barcelona aren't as quite in the crisis that people thought they were. As I say, they could still win La Liga this season. It'd be an incredible turnaround if they managed to do that. So, yeah, I think I'd be quite optimistic right now if I was a Barca fan.
Yeah, optimistic. Definitely of keeping Messi with Laporta coming back as president, as you said, boost the chances of him staying at the new camp as well, as would a possible arrival of Sergio Aguero. Seemingly, they've got a deal done for Eric Garcia from Man City as well on a free transfer, so he will be arriving, as you mentioned as well, Dean. Alaba from Bayern Munich, they're going to try and rival Real Madrid for his signature on a free transfer. So probably outs would be the big thing if they can raise money for the likes of Coutinho, Griezmann, maybe Dembele, all on their way out. So Barcelona, not done and dusted just yet, but I think obviously financially they'll need to sort out those issues if they are to come back and challenge probably for the Champions League next season. But I think maybe Messi can see the roots of a good team being built by Koeman right now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case. I mean, I think Ousmane Dembele has done enough to show that he deserves to be part of it going forward, to be honest. So I think Dembele will stay now. Coutinho, I don't see a future for at all. Again, I mean, it's for the third year in a row, the third window in a row at least, that they're trying to find a place for Coutinho to go. Not easy at all. Griezmann hasn't just worked out so far. And I mean, he's found himself out the side a couple of times recently. So again, can you find somewhere to offload Griezmann to? There's definitely potential there to get money through the door. It's just finding those buyers at a time when clubs haven't really got the cash that they would normally have expected to have, and the uncertainty around fans and stuff still circling, although it does look like stadiums should be full soon. Like, until there's an actual date on it, clubs aren't going to be able to know exactly where their financial planning is.
Yeah, finance is going to play a big part in Barca's summer, but I do fully expect them to be one of the busiest clubs in the transfer window, players in and out probably at the new camp. Talking of a possible player out, we're looking at David De Gea at Manchester United. Some reports suggesting he could be offloaded this summer, Dean, with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer ready to make Dean Henderson his number one from next season. Obviously, he's got a bit of a trial run right now, Henderson. He's got a few games in the side with De Gea back in Spain following the birth of his first child as well. What's your take on this whole situation with the Manchester United goalkeeping situation? Will Henderson be number one, or do you think they need to go out and buy a new goalkeeper?
From what I'm told, like, Henderson's going to have the gloves. I think that it would be too harsh on him if he carries on like this, that De Gea comes back from his paternity leave and goes straight back in. And I don't believe that that's going to be the case this time. And if Henderson does do well for the rest of the season, I think United will look to offload De Gea. That's not as easy as it sounds. I mean, you can't have Henderson and De Gea carrying on. I mean, combined, they're earning over 500 grand a week between them. You can't be spending that on two goalkeepers, one of them that's never playing. It's unsustainable, surely. And there are, especially at Man United, there are other ways you would like to be using that money, i.e. with a centre-back or a new striker. So David De Gea's wages could definitely be used better than they are being used. Again, though, like, where do you turn to find a buyer? I don't really see an obvious place for David De Gea to go right now. People always throw up the same clubs. They'll say PSG, they'll say Juventus, but I'm not sure that either of those clubs are going to be in there.
Would he be looking to return to Spain now following the birth of his first child? And obviously his partner still lives in Spain as well. He's a big Atletico Madrid fan as well, I think. So that would probably be his ideal destination. But his wages, massive issue for any club looking to buy him. I don't think any club in Europe right now can afford that right now. But the thing for Man United is, the worry is, whoever is number one next season, whoever is number two is not going to be happy, because they both feel they are number one goalkeepers. So that's a real conundrum for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
That's it, yeah. And I mean, I have to say, I mean, if De Gea was to carry on as number one, Dean Henderson won't hang around any longer. Like, he knows he's good enough to be a number one somewhere, and he's at the stage of his career where he just wants to be that. As much as he loves United, he won't hang around and just wait for that opportunity. So with the problem of, De Gea going back to Spain, again, I don't see where he fits in. He's not going to go to Barcelona or Real Madrid. Atleti have got Jan Oblak, who's better than David De Gea, to be honest. And I know there's a report of Man United going in for Jan Oblak, but that's absolutely not going to happen either, because why would they sign Jan Oblak? He's better than David De Gea. It's going to cost more money to go and do something like that. And again, you've got Dean Henderson left in the same situation. Like, obviously, if De Gea leaves, they'll sign another goalkeeper because they'll need a backup. But I don't think it's going to be someone of that ilk, and that's the problem that they've got. I don't really know how United get around this, to be honest, but either way, one of Henderson or De Gea has to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a big decision in the summer that United do stick their hat on who is going to be their number one goalkeeper next season, because they will need that if they are to mount a serious challenge for the Premier League title as well. And Dean Henderson, he's obviously done well. Dean, he'll want to be England goalkeeper in the future as well. Do you think he could be the man to hold that number one shirt at Old Trafford long term?
Yeah, I think Dean Henderson has complete faith in what he can do. I think that when United put him in, he can usually be trusted. Look, he'll make the odd error, but most goalkeepers are. It takes a long time to shake those things off, and you need that consistency and the belief that you're going to be continuing to kind of have that authority over your defenders and all the rest of it. Like, that doesn't just come in training. That takes games, and it takes a lot of games to kind of have that consistency. And you look what United are managing this season. I know that people are saying they need a centre-back and all the rest of it. But when it comes to the big games, usually United aren't conceding goals, whether it's De Gea or Henderson. So I think that Solskjaer feel very comfortable right now in the fact that, yes, he would love to sign a new centre-back and he would love to get this goalkeeper situation sorted out. But they're not really in a bad place in that sense, where they are right now.
Yeah, 2 clean sheets in his last 2 games for Henderson, so he's not doing his chances any harm at all. But yeah, big summer ahead for Man United to see what they do end up doing with this goalkeeping situation. There's going to be at least one unhappy goalkeeper at Old Trafford come the end of this season as well. But we'll see what happens in the transfer market. Will De Gea move or will Henderson move? But yeah, that's us for another week here on Touchline Talk. We will be back next week to discuss all the latest news and gossip from around the world of football.